So recently we had some pretty positive news in regards to Tesla that I believe is going to lead a lot of the Tesla naysayers to pretty much have a face like this. Now I say this because recently we got news that Tesla broke its 5-month losing streak in July in regards to registrations, as they had a modest increase year over year that, guess what, was led by Cybertrucks, responsible for a big chunk of that gain. Now I know, when it comes to the Cybertruck, there's this huge dichotomy between people who absolutely love it and then the people who absolutely hate it. I mean, I see it in the comment section all the time. People are like, Justin, the Cybertruck looks like a dumpster. And look, I know, I could definitely see the resemblance of it looking like a dumpster, although I personally lean more to the side of it looking pretty unique. But regardless of what you think about the Cybertruck, one of the things I mentioned in the past is that I ultimately do believe that it's going to contribute to many more deliveries in the United States, especially because we know that lightweight trucks are the dominant vehicle in America. We know this, and I try to play devil's advocate and kind of objectively look at the Cybertruck. You guys know I don't like to be a Elon Musk fanboy, Tesla fanboy, right? And by all means, do not want to be put in that category. And I mentioned how, yes, in comparison to the internal combustion engine, other trucks that we have, pickup trucks, its utility isn't as great, especially because of the range. We talked about how if you're someone who does have to haul something in the back of your pickup truck for work purposes, it's probably not a good idea to buy a Cybertruck, right? We talked about this, but I ultimately mentioned that at the end of the day, many Americans who pick up these lightweight trucks or pickup trucks, they're not really using it for business or to really haul any work in the back, and most people just like pickup trucks just as a personal preference. And so because of that, I ultimately believe that the Cybertrucks are going to be a huge contributor to the deliveries of Teslas in America. And while Tesla has been kind of slacking in the past, let's not forget that Tesla still is a dominant player in the EV space. But with that said, I kind of want to go ahead and tune into some alternative data. You guys know that when I'm looking at the company Tesla, I'm not just looking at it from a fundamental perspective or a technical perspective or even only purely from a macroeconomic perspective. I like to use multiple data points in confluence, and we have to kind of understand the alternative data points, and that's like the popularity behind the Cybertrucks. I know they get a lot of hate, but there's a lot of celebrity endorsements for these Cybertrucks. And for example, Sawyer Merritt, who's someone who's pretty big on the X space, he mentioned how Kim Kardashian shares how her favorite vehicle currently is a Tesla Cybertruck, and she's constantly posting it. Now, am I a big fan of Kim Kardashian? No, right? Personally, I don't know why she's famous. You guys let me know in the comment section down below, but that's besides the point. The reality is she has a huge influence, and with her constantly posting these photos of the Cybertruck, that is essentially like an ad for the Cybertrucks. Hate it or love it, it is essentially an ad. And we also had Sawyer Merritt point out something else. For example, he recently posted that rapper DaBaby, who has over 35 million monthly users, released his new album cover, which guess what, has a Cybertruck on the cover. And then he goes on to mention that Meek Mill's also released a new song called Cybertruck. And even if you don't like these artists, I'm not a big fan of them, but again, everyone has their own personal preference. The truth is, we have this huge endorsement by many of these celebrities who have a huge influence. I mean, we've seen it in the past. Even the international artist Bad Bunny even had a song called Cybertruck. And I get it. This is not your traditional fundamental data, but you have to kind of understand the alternative data. And when you have all this kind of attention from all these large influencers, well, that's going to stir up demand because, again, a lot of people are impressionable. I'm sure, this is not me. I don't see Kim Kardashian using something and say, I got to buy it. But believe me, there's a lot of people who see someone like Kim Kardashian endorsing something and immediately hit that buy button. Now, I mean, a good example is just some of her personal brands. And again, I'm not a big fan. To be honest, I don't even find her attractive. But anyways, that's a different story. But the reality is, there's this huge endorsement from a lot of these celebrities. But kind of getting back on track to some of the fundamentals, we have to talk about some of the bad, right? We have to go ahead and cover some of the bad. And one of the issues I mentioned in the past is the sales in Europe. And when we're looking at this chart over here, we see that the year 2023 was pretty much higher than where we currently are in terms of Tesla registrations. And in the past, I tried to go ahead and really break down the reason why this could possibly be. And my opinion is that, you know, you have a lot of new models in Europe from a lot of other automakers versus Tesla really hasn't been updating their models. And when I mean updating their models, I don't mean updating their current models. I mean releasing new models. And so that's my ultimate opinion for what's going on in Europe. Although, you know, I've asked this on the channel before and many have commented that the reason being, and again, this is all speculation, people in the past have said that Europe is, you know, a country that traditionally kind of leans more to the left. And we know that Elon Musk has kind of been very vocal on X, especially since in America we're in an election season. And again, you know, I'm not trying to get deep down in the rabbit hole of politics, but, you know, a lot of individuals say that this could be causing some of the weakening demand in Europe. Now, I don't really subscribe to that idea, but I mean, that's what many individuals believe. And one idea that I do subscribe to is the fact that because Elon Musk has been vocal, he's been pretty much becoming a target for a new enemy every single week. For example, just a couple of days ago, I mentioned how the SEC is now seeking sanctions against Elon Musk in his Twitter probe, and I highlighted how it seems like every week Elon gets attacked. Now, granted, this whole SEC sanction thing, it's really a big nothing burger. And the reason I say this is just because Elon pretty much bailed last minute on this, hearing. And essentially, the SEC is saying, well, they had to fly out some lawyers that were pretty expensive. It's nothing that's going to be huge influence on what goes on with, you know, Elon Musk or Tesla or any of the operations. But the point is, it almost seems, and this may be me wearing a tinfoil hat, right? Me being a bit, whatever the term is, it just seems like because of Elon Musk's voice out there, he has been getting targeted almost every single week. And that has led to a lot of individuals kind of getting a bit skeptical about Tesla in their portfolio. I mean, I'm not making this up. I see it in the comment section down below. Some people even say that they sold their whole Tesla portfolio or position just because of how Elon Musk act. And, I remember saying that in a previous video, and someone commented, "You're making that up. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. No one would do that." And interestingly enough, someone responded to that individual in the comment section saying, "Look, that was me. I sold my whole position because of X, Y, and Z that Elon Musk said." And so you have to understand that there are individuals who may not just invest in the company based on its fundamentals or, whatever other metrics you're looking at, and they may just sell out of a position just because they don't agree with the mission of the owner. Again, I'm just trying to walk a thin line and not really stir up any trouble, but the reality is Elon Musk has been very vocal, and it's been causing a lot of kind of like of rumblings with, well, this is, someone who's very volatile, and what could happen next? Now, again, I purely just like to look at the fundamentals, and I believe that 2025 is going to be a great year for Tesla, especially as we're now in the rate cutting cycle. Right? And that's very good for a lot of those interest rate sensitive companies like Tesla, especially because we know that now individuals who are going to finance their vehicles, it's going to be a much more affordable than in the past. And so that's something that I look into. But again, you have individuals that may be looking at other things in terms of their investment portfolio or their trading account. And, again, to each your own. Now, looking at things from a technical perspective, last week in the Push and Profit private group, I mentioned how if Tesla moves back to the 235 area, I honestly like this as a swing into mid-October. And this is still off the idea that I believe that this Tesla Robotaxi event that's coming out October 10th is going to be one of those buy the news buy the rumor, sell the news type of events. And, we did have that really big push right after we had the rate cuts. But when we actually look at it, we ended up having Tesla fall back down to that 235 range, which is why it always pays to be patient. When you see something just rallying up, I'm not a big fan of just buying up at the top. I like to wait for a little bit of the buying pressure to cool off and then confirmation of the uptrend. And we did have Tesla retreat back to the 235 area. And so we're going to go ahead and be watching Tesla within the Push and Profit private group kind of more likely climb up as we get closer to that Robotaxi event. Now, going on to that, I do believe there may be a bit of disappointment. And I know when I talk about this, I get some of the, super uber Tesla bulls to get upset. And I just ultimately believe that because of the event being delayed, there's more pressure. And so if we're not blown away, well, then we may end up seeing a red day for the actual Robotaxi event. And so that's something that I believe is one of those buy the rumor, sell the news type events or situations. But again, we'll watch it play out. But with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And before you guys go, make sure to check out this video right over here. And I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care, guys.